Hi viewers, welcome again to this segment. This segment we shall add and subtract fractions, actually proper fractions. So we shall be looking at the addition and subtraction of proper fractions. Before you view this segment, please, I would encourage you to view the segment on fractions 1. Fractions 1. I would also encourage you to view the segment on factors and multiples, because that would be important for this segment. So view those two segments and you will be fine. I would also encourage you to view the segments on adding and subtracting integers. So actually we have 3 videos that you do need to view and master before you start viewing this segment. So let's start with examples. Like I said earlier on, in this case we shall be doing only proper fractions. So let's start with some examples. Assuming we have example 1 over 6 plus 7 over 9. If you look at these two fractions, they don't have the same denominators. So when we look at a fraction and it does not have the same denominator, what we have to do is to find the least common denominator. We have to find a common denominator, and usually it is better to find the least common denominators. In the video on factors and multiples, I referred it to as the least common multiple. The least common multiple or the least common denominator, they are the same thing. So when you view that video, you will understand what I'm saying. So what is the least common multiple or least common denominator of 6 and 9? From that video you should know this. Just view that video, okay? And this gives us 18. That gives us 18. So what we have to do is we have 1 over 6 and we have 7 over 9. We put this plus sign right here. We put the plus sign here. So it is better we write it this way. So what we want to do is to make sure that both of them have a common denominator. 6 is the denominator for the first fraction. 9 is the denominator for the second fraction. They don't have a common denominator, but we want to make sure that they have a common denominator. So what I have to do is I draw the fraction bar and I write the common denominator that I want them to have. I write it under the fraction bar. Now the next thing you ask yourself, what am I going to do to 6 to give me 18? What am I going to multiply by 6 to give me 18? That means to multiply by 3 to give you 18. Then, because you had to multiply the denominator by 3 to give you 18, whatever you do to the denominator, you have to also do that to the numerator. So we also have to multiply the numerator by 3 also, because we also multiplied the denominator by 3. So this will also be times 3, and that will give us 3 over 18. Now if you simplify 3 out of 18, it will still give you 1 over 6. If you simplify this, it will still give you this. Here on the second fraction, you ask yourself, what am I going to do to 9 to give me 18? You multiply by 2. And because you have to multiply the denominator by 2, you also have to multiply the numerator by 2. Whatever you do to the denominator, you have to also do to the numerator. That is the way it goes. So we now have 3 over 18 plus 14 over 18. So in this case, these two fractions have the same denominator. And when they have the same denominator, you just add their numerator. This will give you 3 plus 14 all over 18. And that will give you 17 over 18. That is the way we solve it. That gives you 17 over 18. Now, what if we say, example 2, negative 1 over 6 plus 7 over 9. Remember, you don't have to worry. The same way you do the addition and subtraction of integers, that is the same way you will do the addition and subtraction of fractions. In this case, we have negative 1 over 6 plus 7 over 9. And of course, we have times 3 times 3. This is now negative 3 over 18. This is times 2 times 2. This is now 14 over 18. So this will give us negative 3 over 18 plus 14 over 18. And that will give us, you bring down 18 because they have the same denominator. And you now work on their numerator. Negative 3 plus 14. Negative 3 plus 14 gives you 11 over 18. And that becomes your answer. The next question, number 3 question. 7 over 12 minus 1 over 9. They have different denominators. So we are looking for a common denominator. And out of all those common denominators, we want to find the least common denominator. What will be the least common denominator of 12 and 9? So we now see that the least common denominator of 12 and 9 will give us 36. So what we have to do is we write 7 over 12 and we write 1 over 9 minus 1 over 9. Now we draw the fraction bar, we write 36 here, draw the fraction bar, write 36. Because we want them to have a common denominator. What will I do to 12 to give me 36? I'll have to multiply it by 3. And because I multiply the denominator by 3, I will also have to multiply the numerator by 3. That gives you 21 over 36. What will I do to 9 to give me 36? I multiply by 4. And because I multiply the denominator by 4, I will also have to multiply the numerator by 4. And that gives you 4 out of 36. Then you now add 21 over 36 plus 4 out of 36. They now have a common denominator. You just bring down one of them and you now add their numerator, 21 plus 4. And that gives you, 21 minus 4. I'm sorry, this is minus. 21 minus 4. And that gives you 17 over 36. Now, for a simple note, you have to find an equivalent fraction. Like when you compare 7 over 12 and 21 over 36, and you compare 1 over 9 and 4 over 36, these two fractions are equivalent. These two fractions are equivalent. I would like you to view this video segment on equivalent fractions. So in essence, what we are trying to do is we want to make sure that they have a common denominator by finding the equivalent fraction that gives us the common denominator. That is what we want to make sure that we do. We find an equivalent fraction that gives us the common denominator of both fractions. And then we can now work on their numerator, either by adding them or subtracting them. I hope you do understand this. Let's do more examples. Number 4. What if I have negative 7 over 12, negative 1 over 9? This is the same way we do addition and subtraction of integers. We have negative 7 over 12, negative 1 over 9, or minus 1 over 9. It still doesn't matter, it's the same thing. So, what will you do here? This is 36, this is 36, this is times 3, times 3. Here will give you negative 21 over 36. And this will give you times 4, times 4. This will give you 4 over 36. So you have negative 21 over 36 minus 4 over 36. So you work on their numerator, and this will give you negative 21 minus 4 all over 36. And that will give you negative 25 over 36. Next one. Example 5. 5 over 6 plus 7 over 10. Now what is the LCD of 6 and 10? That is 30. So what we have to do, 5 over 6, 7 over 10, plus, here will be over 30, over 30. This is times 5, this is times 5, 25 over 30. What is the equivalent fraction of 7 over 10? This is times 3, this is times 3, 21 over 30. And that will now give you 25 over 30 plus 21 over 30. And that will give you 25 plus 21 over 30. And that will give you 46 over 30. And then you can simplify. When you simplify, it gives you what? 23 over 15. When it gives you 23 over 15, you can still convert the improper fraction to a mixed number. Please go ahead and view that video on the conversion. This will give you one whole number, 8 over 15. One whole number, 8 over 15. Another example. Number 6. What if we have negative 5 over 6 plus minus 7 over 10? Now this should not confuse you because of this plus minus. Some textbooks might write it this way. Negative 5 over 6 plus negative 7 over 10. It's the same thing. Positive and negative is the same thing. Please go ahead and view the video on adding and subtracting integers. So this will give you negative 5 over 6. When you have two signs together, like I said in other video segments, you make it one sign. Just make it one sign. So these two signs together will be negative 7 over 10. So that's the same thing. This will give you negative 5 over 6, negative 7 over 10. So this is over 30, times 5, negative 25 over 30, times 3, negative 21 over 30. And you now work on their numerator. They have the same denominator right now. This is negative 25, negative 21 over 30, which is negative 46 over 30, which is negative 8 over 15. Question 7. Question 7. 2 over 45 minus 7 over 30 minus 3 over 10. Here we have three fractions. So what we have to do is the same thing we do for two fractions. That is the same way we have to do for three fractions. So what is the LCD of 45, 30, and 10? What do you think the LCD will be? We have to find out, like, if you go to the video segment that I did the LCD, of course I would kind of do this real fast. LCD. Now we can start with 2, right? This is 45, 15, 5. 2 can go again. So of course you should know the rules. Start with 3. This is 15, 5, 5. 3 again is 5, 5, 5, and 5, 1, 1, 1. Just to make sure I did it right. So when you have this, 2 times 3 is what? The LCD or the LCM will now be 2 times 3 times 3 times 5. Please make sure you view this video. This is going to help you a lot if you view the video. Make sure you view that video segment so that you can understand this. Because if you don't view it, you might be wondering, what did I do? So 2 times 3 2 times 3 give you 6. 6 times 3, 18. 18 times 5 will give you 90. So the LCD is 90, right? So let's go ahead and work on the fractions. We have 2 over 45 minus 7 over 10 minus 7 over 30, I'm sorry, minus 3 over 10, right? So the LCD is 90. 90 over 90 over 90. What do we do to 45 to give us 90? Times 2. What you do to the bottom, the denominator, you do to the top, the numerator. 4 over 90. 4 over is the equivalent fraction of 2 over 45. Then 30 and 90 is 3. So do to the denominator, do to the numerator. Do the same to the numerator. 7 times 3 will give us what? 21. So 21 over 90 is the equivalent fraction of 7 over 30. Then this is times 9. This is times 9. And this will give you 27. 27 over 90 is the equivalent fraction of 3 over 10. You've got to ask yourself, what will you multiply by 45 to give you 90? What will you multiply by 30 to give you 90? What will you multiply by 10 to give you 90? Another easy way you can do it is, just do 90 divided by 45. Gives you times 2. 90 divided by 30 gives you times 3. 90 divided by 10 gives you times 9. So you know what to multiply by what to get 90. You can do that. It works for all the fractions. So they now have a common denominator, 90, 90, 90. So this is 4 over 90 minus 21 over 90 minus 27 over 90. So I just bring out a single 90. This is 4 minus 21 minus 27. I have to do it step by step, right? 4 minus 21 will give us what? Negative what? 17 minus 27 over 90, right? And this will give us, what is it going to give us? You owe. So this will give us negative what? 44 over 90. And you have negative 44 over 90. You have to simplify this. You've got to simplify it. You divide by 2, divide by 2. This will give you negative 22 over 45. Negative 22 over 45. Please, if you have any question on understanding this, go ahead and view the video segment on simplifying fractions. And also on addition and subtraction of fractions. Question 8. Question 8. We have 11 over 16 minus 1 over 12. What are we going to... They have different denominators, so we've got to find the LCD. We've got to. LCD of 16 and 12. Okay, what do you think it will be? Now, there are several denominators. There are several multiples, but we have to find the least common multiple. So, 16, 12, 2 will go here, and that is 8, 6, 2 again, 4, 3, 2 again, 2, 3, 2 again, 1, 3, 3, 1, 1. So LCM, which is the same thing as LCD, will give you 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 3. 2 times 2, 4, times 2, 8, times 2, 16, times 3, 48. So the LCD is 48. So let's go ahead and solve it, since we now know the LCD that gives us 48. We have 11 over 16 minus 1 over 12. So we write here over 48 over 48. What do we do to 16 to give us 48? If you just don't know, just do 48 divided by 16. Gives you times 3. Whatever you do to the denominator, do the same thing to the numerator. Times 3 gives you 33 over 48. 33 over 48 is the equivalent fraction of 11 over 16. Then for 12, 48 divided by 12, you can say is 4 times 4. Whatever you do to the denominator, do it to the numerator, times 4. So we see that 4 over 48 is the equivalent fraction of 1 over 12. So this will give us, they now have a common denominator. You now do 33 over 48 minus 4 over 48. Of course, this will now be a common 48, 33 minus 4. And 33 minus 4 will give you 29 over 48. Right? And, oh, my bad. The next one, probably the last one, before we call it a day. Number 6, 11 over 16 plus 1 over 12. This is the same way we did. Of course, the LCD is 48. So 11 over 16 plus 1 over 12. This is over 48 over 48 times 4 will give you 4 times 3 times 3, 33. So you now have that this is 33 over 48 plus 4 over 48. And that gives you 33 plus 4 over 48. And that gives you 37 over 48 as the answer. Right. So this is the way we add and subtract fractions, proper fractions with unlike denominators. Actually, these are unlike denominators. Adding and subtracting proper fractions with unlike denominators. Proper fractions with unlike denominators. We say it's unlike denominators because it's a different denominators. So I would like you to also view the video segments on mixed numbers, adding and subtracting mixed numbers. So that is going to be in another video segment. I hope you understood this. Welcome to the end of this presentation. If you have any question, please make sure that you can post your questions on my website, or you can make the comments on the YouTube page that this video will be put in. Thank you again for viewing this. On the moment of conscience with Sam Dom that I do at the end of every video, I would like to thank all those that have taught me since I came to the United States. All of my teachers that have taught me since I came over here. I appreciate the good work you're doing. Teachers, please keep up the good work, and keep it up. I mean, no matter what people say, keep on doing the good job of teaching and spreading the knowledge. All right, viewers, you have a nice day, and I'll see you soon. Bye.